Fasting for 30 days isn't as easy as it seems. You can't read Arabic, and who doesn't masturbate to emotion? Is Ramy a bad guy? We find out all of that and more as we talk Hulu's Ramy Season 1, Episodes 5 and 6, Do the Ramadan, and Refugees. The AfterBuzz After Show starts right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
That's the Ramadan.
The Ramadan.
Yeah,
yes.
we're doing the Ramadan.
Ramadan.
We're doing the Ramadan as we talk a lot of things on this episodes of Ramy, episodes 5 and 6. Very particularly timed because we are going into Ramadan, which pretty much starts tomorrow. And discussing Ramadan and all these things in these episodes is so good. And they named it Do the Ramadan. So it's like a dance. It's a dance that people do. I mean, it is Coachella for Muslims, right?
I love that.
That was such a great line.
So good. How does one? Is there a dance move? There should be a dance move. Do the Ramadan.
Definitely not. I would rather not have a fatwa against me. I was kidding.
No, there's no dance move.
Let's not act like Ramadan is not one of the pillars of Islam. It is. We will get into that and so much more. As I am your host, my name is Tehran, and of course I am joined by the illustrious Nikki Bailey. Yes.
Hey y'all.
Hi, how are you?
I've never been illustrious before.
I feel like you're a little
Thank
illustrious.
you.
I feel like there's illustriousness to you.
Wow, that's so nice. Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I love it. Especially while rewatching our last episode, I wish more of the world had more Nikki Bailey.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So enlightened, so good. It was so good discussing all these things, especially Ramy can be at times, it could be very heavy and take such a great approach on it. I felt that you as a person are very similar in that way.
I would agree. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I don't really know what to say about to that, but thank you.
So let's find out what the illustrious Nikki Bailey has to say about episodes 5 and 6, Do the Ramadan and Refugees of Hulu's Ramy.
Wow.
What were your overall thoughts?
So, Do the Ramadan was a little bit confusing for me actually, and I'm not entirely sure why. I guess part of me was I was so trying to identify with Ramy in how he coordinates and handles all these different elements that I got a little confused and a little like, why is it worth it, Ramy? Is it worth it? So that was my take on that. And then Refugees, the title was, that was just deep. Like, it was deep. And so much of what Dena was dealing with was so particular to her experience as a Muslim American woman, but also there's some stuff that I really identified with. So I'm looking forward to talking to.
Well, we have a lot to discuss as we break it all down. We're going to talk about Ramadan itself, Sean, mosque time, Coachella for Muslims, and of course, we can't escape Do the Ramadan without talking about Ramy doing it on Ramadan and the person who he did it with. Exactly. Going into episode 6, of course, that was the Dena story, and we're going to get Refugees. We're going to talk about more stricter on boys than girls. Dena's friends, who we get the first appearance and good look at. Dena gets it on. Ramy's not the only one. The dream. Oof. And of course, the fetish. That was the strong part. Overall, yes. I must say that both of these episodes hit home. And especially because of a person with Middle Eastern descent, you understand it. Now, there is a difference between Persian life and Arab life. There is a difference. And that difference is, honestly, Arabs can be a little stricter with their family members, especially with the girls. It's actually and just watching it was very interesting to watch that dynamic in episode 6. It was so real and so honestly on the nose of how brothers and sisters would be treated. And Ramy gives that advice, and she says, you're so privileged. And there is that male privilege that exists. And it doesn't exist just in the Arab world or the Middle Eastern world, but it exists throughout, where we always place much more severe and strict rules on our women than we do our men, with the concept of, well, you're the one that comes home pregnant. Even the concept of the fact that we have words, like we have a word, if a girl has sex prematurely or whatever people say, we call her a slut or whatever it is.
And there's no male equivalent.
Exactly. Right. If a child is born and has no father, you're a bastard.
Right.
right?
Right.
But what's the word for the guy who just leaves? Nothing.
Dude.
Yeah,
he's
bro.
He's just bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
There's
just-
no consequence for men.
It's Craig.
Yeah,
His name's
yeah.
Craig. That's it. It's
Bab.
just Craig.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nobody. So it's interesting watching that. And then, of course, when it comes to Ramadan, just understanding the concept of Ramadan, how much it means to Islam as a faith, and how you have career Ramadanists, as I call them, because they only do Ramadan every other day. See, so Ramadan's the 9th month of the... It's usually during the 9th month of the Arabic calendar, which is based on the moon cycle.
Okay.
So most of the calendars are based on just the moon cycle. It's different. The Hebrew calendar is also as well, which is why the holidays seem to like align.
Coincide, right.
Yeah, it just happens that they're both based on this waning and waxing of the crescent moon and the cycle, right? So Ramadan is I would say I don't know if holiday is the right word, but the concept of observance, exactly. That's a nice way to put it, right? Is where you basically fast from sun up to sundown. We got into a little bit of this last week because they were getting prepared for Ramadan. But now as we get into Ramadan, it's a pillar, and it's supposed to be the cleansing of not just your body through fasting, but your mind and purging yourself of sins and also the interaction of community. Now we get a lot of that, but we get it in the realest way. We get it in a way that's never been shown before on television. We get Ramy going to the mosque with everybody, and everyone's actually, his friends he's taking it almost too seriously.
Right. Why are you dressed like that?
Exactly.
You watch too much porn. There's no way you're gonna get through
You won't
Ramadan
make
without
it.
watching porn.
Yeah, he's wearing his gelbiya, the traditional garb, and it's just like everyone's like, no, I don't have a problem with the garb. I have a problem with you wearing this.
that one.
Yeah.
Right, that from when you were like a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have another one. I mean, as Nikki, how did you perceive, for example, the praying outside of the diner?
I thought that was I've seen that a lot, and I think I think it's a beautiful tradition, a beautiful ritual. I think I was a little annoyed at Sean for.
I
Dude,
love
we
that
are
part.
praying.
I
Why
love
are you
that part.
involved? Yeah.
Listen, the Sean part.
The Sean part was, I
have to explain how funny it is because, first of all, they're praying outside because it's Ramadan, and you're supposed to pray 5 times a day, no matter what, in the Sunni religion, right?
Okay.
So Sunni, the sect of Islam that most Arabs are, you're supposed to pray 5 times a day. That's where that comes from. Shiites tend to pray 3 times a day.
Okay.
So here we have Sunnis praying outside the diner, and Mo, of course, says, because someone wrote ISIS faggot on
that it's great for business.
Yeah, it's great for business because it's like, oh my gosh, a hate crime right during Ramadan? I couldn't buy publicity like this. And it's just like, because it's just 2 things that are just the meanest things you could basically say.
Right.
And they place it on the wall. And they're praying right outside of this. And it was just such a
diner,
good
yeah.
visual.
Yeah.
And then Sean comes up, and Sean's just like, yo, Ramy. Yo, Ramy. And it's like, he's interrupting their prayer, and he said, but then again, you see where Sean comes from.
He's trying to get in on that prayer business.
Because his mom.
Right.
His mom's dying.
His mom's dying.
Of cancer.
And of course, prayer is magical.
Yeah.
And so therefore,
that's what people think. Prayer
Ramy should just pray for her and save her.
And it's like a genie, because that's what we think often of God is God is a genie, especially when we need God the most. God is obviously a genie who will make things happen if we just pray.
I had an ex who called God the magic sky daddy. Yeah. So obviously that's what people who are not religious probably think that's how, although that's probably how a lot of people who are religious think that's how prayer works. So, the whole idea that Ramy's keeping Steve alive for years just through prayer, that's powerful.
It's powerful. And now Sean wants in on it.
He's
because
trying to get a piece.
His mom, Jackie, his mom
Has
is cancer and is dying. And okay, so this is why this was so freaking funny. If you know, as they're giving salat, as they're praying, Sean comes in and is like, "Hey, can you pray?" And he's like, "Oh, I pray 5 times a day. I'll throw it on the next one." And then Sean's like, "No, I want you to do it now." And then he's like, "You're not gonna take your shoes off like you just did." So it's like he's seeing it from an outside perspective. And then here's the best part: Ramy First of all, the prayer is in a specific version. Ramy sings Jackie. There is no, he's not saying anything. It's but he's saying like Jackie, hey, Sean. It was so funny.
It did make me holler.
So humorous.
Yeah.
Especially if you know Salat, especially if you know how it goes and how he says it in the Jackie. Like
even not knowing that,
he's saying
it
nonsense.
made me holler.
It was
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
And he's just like, Sean. Like, and it was just so strong. And I can understand and I've empathized with Sean for coming from that perspective, but oh my gosh, that was just so funny.
I mean, it's one of those, I think you see it in both of these episodes where someone outside of the faith has decided that they know what it means and they know what, and they have their sort of ideas of what it means to be Muslim. And so, yeah, that obviously, praying is magic and fetishizing a woman is also magical. So, like, there's so much awesome, wonderful things that people say about other folks' cultures and experiences that they should just shut up.
That happens often. It happens often.
Yeah.
And on one hand, it's obviously, it can be kind of rude. But on the other hand, it's also, there is a sweetness to it that comes about because it's inquisitive
and
about
curiosity is lovely.
Exactly. And we
you
have
want
to,
people to be interested.
There has to be a dichotomy between the two where it's,
there just has to be a way to be interested without being gross.
Exactly. And don't ask to touch my hair,
Word.
But I understand your curiosity about my hair, and it's very endearing. Thank you so much for caring.
Yeah. But keep your hands to yourself.
No, but let me let's get close, and then I'll let you pet my head. Like, they're little things, right? And it gets to that. Before we get to that, though, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being, if not as much, more so a part of our panel than both of us. Nikki and I enjoy you and your thoughts and your comments very much. Thank you so much, all of you, for being a part of AfterBuzz.
Absolutely. And you can totally help us out by making sure to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. You can give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, leave us a comment. We read all of that stuff. We love all that stuff. And it just allows us to keep doing what we love, which is being the ESPN of television talk.
Yeah, we have so many after show. We talk about all of your favorite shows. And honestly, Ramy is easily in my top 5 favorite shows right now. I'm being very honest and sincere.
Absolutely,
when I talk about this because I love this.
And it's hard not to watch ahead. Like, I really wanted to just keep going.
It's so hard. It's so difficult not to watch ahead.
Absolutely.
I admit that I am often tempted.
Oh, totally tempted.
The way Ramy's tempted. The way Ramy's tempted. Okay, so we get a couple terms that we need to understand.
Okay.
Let's discuss Maghrib. Maghrib, of course, is the prayer just after sunset. It's the 4th of the 5 obligatory daily prayers in Islam. So that's the concept. When we hear Maghrib, that's what it means. So remember that. We also get another term which we should discuss, a tarwiha. If we break it all down, especially Maghrib is important for Ramadan, and it's because it's the one that breaks the fast, which you get to see. So remember, you can only eat before the first prayer and after the 4th prayer. Okay, so the concept is sun up, you have to stop eating, and sundown. And I love when Mo's like, "How do you think Muslims used to do it? You think all this app shit? They didn't have apps." They just saw the sun's up, and then
and then Ahmed comes in like, too much light pollution. I can't tell anything.
It could be the new Target. I don't know. It could have been maybe it was the new Target. It's just so smart, especially like I always bring this up, but it's just like this is an American tale.
Yeah,
it's an American tale. The way they're interacting with each other, because with Ramy and Sarah, we see Sarah still in the picture, which I thought she was going to be gone after the stuff she pulled last time.
And I'm surprised that she wants to, wait 30 days. Like,
I don't know if she's going to wait.
She's going to wait. Well, she
couldn't even wait to go to the shower with somebody.
She's going to wait to hang out with him.
Sure.
But she's going to handle her business while he's handling his Ramadan business.
100%.
Yeah.
So she's actually very respectful, and I really like Sarah. Sarah's so cute. The only thing I did not like was last episode when she went with the shower to the shower.
She could have enjoyed her high
exactly
without all of that. Yeah.
Exactly. So that I did not like. but I really like Sarah, and she waited. And then here we see Ramy basically saying, I'm going to take this Ramadan very seriously. I'm going to take it seriously. Something that happens all the time is, and this was so classic if you come from this type of family, is that he's like, why didn't you wake me up before before sun up? And I did, I tried, you didn't wake up.
And now I'm going to be hungry all day.
Yeah, and it happens all the time.
That's his responsibility, though. Come on, if he wants to get up in time for the first meal, he should have got up.
Yeah, but that's
it's not
like
his mama's job.
Yeah, but
to
it
wake
is
him
though,
up in the
because
morning.
this is the family unit. See, that's a very Western way of thinking.
Is it?
Is that
Okay.
he's old enough. He
Right,
should be
he's a
doing
grown
stuff enough.
man.
No, until you're married, you're not grown. And even then, you'll always be my son. Like even growing up, I remember my dad saying things like, "Even when you're 65." I will be your father, and you will be a little boy. And
wow.
And it's a thought. It's a thought.
Yeah.
That's why Middle Eastern families tend to stay in a singular home unit for much longer.
Wow, okay.
Kids stay at home. We saw this. We were talking about that definitely in episode 6.
Yeah.
Where the kids are both. You're talking about Ramy's 27 or 28 in the show.
Yeah.
And Dena's like 24, 25, and they're both at
living at
home.
home, yeah.
So that's the concept.
Yeah.
So that family unit is it's a very big part of what goes on, which is why what happens in the episode 5 is such a big deal, right? So we get that, and it's such a good nod to no one helping you. Like, I tried to wake you, you don't wake. And then we see Uncle Nassim is eating. Uncle Nassim.
Uncle Nassim is throwing down with a Subway sandwich.
But he's not though, because that's once again another where you take what you want from a religion and leave the
rest.
It's like
yeah.
it's between me and God. If you are serious about Ramadan, I'll turn my back while
Right.
I eat. Like.
I love Uncle Nassim. I love him.
And then he says it's so brilliant. Like I just wish I could give you my life experiences so you can enjoy this as much. Like when he says something like, yeah, they follow Saudi. I don't follow Saudi. They're a corrupt nation. And Ramy goes, well, I thought you said that about Israel. He's like, yeah, but they're Jews. They don't know better. Like it's so strong because these conspiracies, this justification, just this outward outrageousness is something that can be so old school and old world.
Well, what I love about Uncle Nassim is that even though like culturally the references are different, I think I have that uncle.
Everyone has. It's an
have that
uncle. It just
yeah.
depends on where you're from. This is something people need to understand. There is redneck in every country you go to. The problem is we only show rednecks from other countries, but guess what? In other countries, they only show rednecks from here. So if you go to other countries, that's what they perceive America to be. And then when you watch it and you see someone burning the flag or an American flag or whatever, those are the rednecks of that country. Okay. Those aren't the mass population.
They're not the majority.
They're not the majority. They're not the educated ones. They're just, and it's just so
I'm so
fun
glad
to watch Uncle Nassim.
That's a really good distinction to make, and especially to acknowledge the redneck, because I was like, that conspiracy theory, I have legit heard an uncle say, well, white people don't know any better. Like that was like, oh right, I get.
100%. 100%. That is a very common thing. Actually, I often say this. The most racist people I know are black people.
Oh, totally.
Who are just up for like.
They got something about everybody.
That white cracker don't know shit.
Right.
You're like, Uncle James, we're at the doctor's.
Right.
That's your doctor, Because he's white. It's like Uncle James. He's such a wonderful person. He's mixed, But it's just fun watching this character, Uncle Nassim. Even though he was barely in both episodes, he still remains such a great character.
Makes such an impact. Yeah, absolutely.
Such a strong one. So then we hear them talking about sex. Ramy can't sustain from masturbating because he watches so much porn, which is something you probably should do during Ramadan. Can't abstain from sex. And Ramy's just like, what do you mean? And he keeps bringing up, what do you mean I watch too much porn? And they keep saying it like Ramy is just, I want to know what kind of porn Ramy's into.
And they think he just watches porn 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, what do they think he does all day? That's a lot of porn for them to think that.
They really, you can't stop. And then I like how Mo and Ahmed and Ramy have that conversation. And Ahmed's like, You know what turns me on? I think about the time my wife and I, we were in Paris and that passion, and that's what I jerk off to. To emotion.
When we were in love.
Yeah,
yes.
when we were in love.
You're so sweet.
So sweet.
It's
such good character development. Mo, of course, says they go to the mosque. And they're like, what are we doing? Oh, we go to the mosque. I mean, this Muslim, it's Coachella for Muslims. It's Ramadan, baby. It's Ramadan.
But Ramy doesn't know that there's more going on.
There's a lot more. This meeting, this secret meeting. So we get to meet Ahmed's cousin. So we get that in the preview from last time. So I didn't know the context of where it is. So now we actually see where it comes into play. We meet Ahmed's cousin, who, by the way, is a cutie. I'm telling you right now.
She's totally cute.
She's very attractive.
Absolutely.
She's very upfront.
Very
She's
organized.
about her business.
She has her notes prepared. She's got her questions. She knows what she needs to know.
She knows what she wants, and she goes through the questions with Ramy. Yeah. Some of the questions were kind of intrusive, but she's upfront, and she knows her value, and she's...
I loved it. And she was with him as he was growing as a man, figuring out what he needs. But she had a bottom line.
She did.
She wants your kids to speak Arabic. If you don't speak Arabic, I'm sorry.
It's done.
This meeting is over.
She closed it. And here's the interesting thing. Now, if you remember, before we saw Ramy trying to read the Quran in his bed. So he's reading the Quran and he only knows the word Allah because that's the easiest word to recognize in the Arab language. It's the one that everyone has a pendant of.
Right, right.
It's such a beautifully drawn word. It's very artistically looking. It's a palindrome in the way it looks in a way. I mean, it's just nice. And so that's all he knows. And so now we fast forward to him not being able to read the Quran, and she's like, "Oh, what's your favorite Bible?" It's like, "Oh, I read it in English," and she's like, "Boom, close." Right. After he broke down, and I thought that would be the turnoff is that he doesn't have a plan, but she was like, "I really like your honesty that you had." He brings up the sex thing, a big no.
Right, and you saw that she had a moment where she was like, "I don't know if I like this," but she let him continue.
I like it.
And but yeah, I mean, I love a woman who knows what she wants, right?
Ramy's very charismatic. He's cute. He's got this cutie.
Adorable.
He's a cutie patootie. Yeah. I've seen this happen in real life. I'm gonna be honest. I've seen Ramy break down girls with his real life charm, so it was cute to watch him do the same on stage, on set. And then he can't read Arabic, and she's just done. And that is actually a concept of a deal breaker. And I must admit, if I would prefer to be with a girl that spoke Farsi or Arabic or at least another language. I'm not saying it's a no for me, but it's definitely a oh no for me.
I can get that. Everybody has their deal breakers, whatever they are. Mine are not about language, so you know that works.
Yeah, I mean it's just an interesting factor, and I mean as someone I read and write, of course, the languages, and I would want someone that actually has a proficiency in the spoken language, and I was like, ooh, so real. So then they go to the gathering, and this is why it's important. So we meet the alaikum salam, assalamu alaikum, brother.
Right.
And he's like, and Mo's like, he's undercover. No one says it 2 times. He's Dominican, and that's
they're not even trying anymore.
As funny as it is, that is a real thing.
Wow.
That is a real thing that the FBI. I mean, we know this. In fact, you want to know something about this infamous Robert Mueller, who everyone is on? He's actually part of the protocol that sent a lot of these undercovers into the mosque after 9/11, going into for a 5 to 8 year period, and now it's also still a thing that there are undercovers and they go in, and if you watch, and I've said this before, that Ramy is basically if Atlanta meets this show that's on Amazon, Informer on Amazon shows a lot of that, where they send in people and they go in as undercovers. And how has your Ramadan been? Like,
right.
No one asked these questions.
Right.
Exactly. Most like, yeah, he's undercover.
That was actually, I mean, I like great for Mo, like showing up in the nick of time, because Ramy obviously didn't know. Yeah.
Or he might not have been. It might have just been a really friendly guy.
Really nice,
but he's too friendly. And it happens, and I've even seen it happen with black culture, where it's like, if a white guy's friendly, it's fine. White people are friendly. But if another black guy's too friendly, you're like, what's
your angle?
Want?
What are you doing?
Exactly. What's your game? Yeah. What's your game? So it's interesting dynamic, and to watch that. And he's like, he's undercover. Come on. So we get Salma. Salma, we got a tidbit in the beginning where she is the complainer. And here's what she reminded me of. She reminded me of Dena in a couple years.
Fast forward, this is Dena.
This is Dena in a couple years.
I can see.
A reluctant Dena.
You know, it's funny because you said she's a complainer. I felt like she just was, asking for what she needed. She was asking for.
I didn't call her a complainer.
But
the show
calls her a complainer.
Mo specifically.
Yeah,
what's she
he does.
complaining about now?
There's
She wants to petition for tea, and it's all normal stuff.
Right.
But it's so real.
Right.
It's so real.
I mean,
and there
she
is one
has
of
a
her.
good point. She's like, have you been in the women's section? It's small. My husband's traveling too much. I need some help.
Yeah, Mo's
I mean,
like,
she
been
has
to the
real-
women's. Why would I ever go? It's for all. Who's been there?
And
Women.
So who cares?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's
So,
just,
yeah.
And sometimes it can honestly be like that. It can actually, there is, look, regardless of how people want to express it or explain it or justify it, there is obviously misogyny in every culture, but there's clearly an old world misogyny that exists very much in Middle Eastern culture. And at times, especially in Arab culture, there is a misogyny. And so we have to address it. And Ramy does it so intelligently, where it's brought up in the way of, this is an unsatisfied wife. She's asking for minimal things. You're not paying attention to your wife. So Ramy feels for her. He feels that connection. He likes strong women.
He does. And he wants to be, I think he wants to be that kind of guy to someone.
He does.
She's like, this is what I want. I'm not getting that from my husband. And he's giving her exactly what she needs in that moment.
And he gives her what she needs.
In so many ways.
Basically, thank you for bringing the kid home. In that case, can I ask you for one more thing?
Favor.
And then next thing you know, this is the first day of Ramadan.
Ooh.
Bro, you couldn't even wait?
Yes.
And then, of course, he's having sex with the wife, which is... And we kind of felt that vibe. I don't know if you did, but I felt like something was going to happen.
They were enjoying those peanut butter and jelly pockets together too much. I was like, there's something happening here.
It was very cute. And still, you have to remember this is someone's wife.
And even the noises they were making while they were eating sounded a little sexual to me, and I was like, yeah, they're about to
get it on, and
they're
they got
about
it
to
on.
have a little,
And then, of course, Ramy wakes up, and the kid walks in, which is, oh my gosh, heart. And he
traditions and not honoring the marriage between this couple, and not
you just slept with someone's wife. Exactly.
You're like, dang, kid, you're a little deep.
Yo,
it was
that's
deep. A deep question.
It was just such a lot of roots in things that would be very good for your health.
Sure.
So even something as simple as washing before you give salat, that's a very healthy thing to do, which we know now. Of course, at the time, it might have been the only way to convince entire communities to do so when they have the wrath or fear of God.
Right.
Thou shalt not sleep with thy neighbor's wife. That's probably one of those things.
That was very covetous.
Strong. So let's talk refugees. Let's talk refugees, because we get into that refugee talk as we have in episode 6 as Dad is just going off Dena. Dena, we have to talk something important. Look, if you have sex, if you go with a guy, you're gonna have sex, you're gonna get pregnant, no one's gonna want you, you're gonna have crack, you're gonna be on crack. That's such a Middle Eastern moment.
Oh my gosh. Like, I was sitting there thinking the amount of therapy she's going to need just for this conversation.
Every single Middle Eastern kid would need.
Oh my gosh.
It's interesting, though, that the father actually had the talk. Usually that's a talk reserved. They usually don't give that talk. It's actually something that's a little bit taboo. I will say this, that anytime I did anything, my father would say something like, do you want to work at the gas station? And in my head, I had this, owning a gas station, good. Working at a gas station, you're the worst person on the planet.
Gotcha.
Like, you're just this low-life employee. Just work at the gas station. So everything was because that exaggeration is very much a part of Middle Eastern culture, is to exaggerate something to the worst possibility.
Oh my gosh, right? He took it to the extreme possibility.
And we saw it again when Dena accidentally knocks over her computer and it's like water spills on it. And the mom's like, you broke it? It's expensive. And then she's like, no, I just got water on it. And she goes back, she broke her computer. And then the dad's like, it was so expensive. Like, they have to, everything has to be to the extreme. We see Dena gets the sex talk as a kid, and now she's an adult. She is getting her master's in anthropology, and she's working hard, and she's never had sex. And we get to meet her friends. Mm-hmm. And one of her friends has had sex, and the other one still hasn't.
Yeah, I was really intrigued about. It almost seemed like they had a little pact, almost, that they were gonna sort of, carry the virgin thing together until they got married or whatever. I was really interested in the conversation that Dena was saying that her parents would never let her move out, and in my American mind, I'm thinking, my Western non-Arab mind, I'm thinking, what are your parents are going to let you, but you're an adult, you should go. But this is it goes back to what you were saying earlier.
And this is a thing, it's cultural, and it actually applies to both boys and girls, but especially more to girls. It's weighed heavier, and it's a very traditional thing that families stay together, to the point where even if, for example, there are a lot of homes where the brothers one brother will live upstairs with his wife in a home, in a big home. A brother will have the upstairs, and then the other brother with his wife and children will have the downstairs. Families are very, very together.
Yeah.
That is a very traditional value of families being together. Old folks' homes are very almost non-existent.
Yeah.
So they would stay with the family. There's no questions asked in that. And children should stay at home until they are married. It's a very new thing, this first generation where we get to leave the home. I remember my youngest sister and my having to go and live at college was such a big deal. But by the time I got to my youngest sister, it was just something we all did.
Right.
So they understood it. But it's very different there.
Yeah.
It would be very different in the Middle East. And even if so, they would try to make it work where everyone lives at the home.
Yeah.
Or at least, even if they could, everyone lives in these compounds where every home is owned by a family member. So if you go on streets in the Middle East, it's often, if one family lives here, their relatives live next door and the door after them. Yeah, that's a common
That was
thing.
my mother's dream.
Yeah, that
was
dream.
what she wanted. She wanted to buy a neighborhood, and that's where the whole family just lives in the neighborhood.
Would be the dream. That's the concept. So that's a thing. And Dena, of course, is treated differently than Ramy. Now, Ramy's a little bit older, but he's also a boy. I feel that that's something that happens in every community to an extent.
Yeah. My brother was allowed to walk to the corner store by himself when he was 10. But when I was 10 and asked, they said, no, you can't. And when I asked why, they said, because you're a girl. And I was mystified and so angry about that. And now I'm like, wow, what I really related to in this episode was that dynamic and that whole conversation that Ramy had with her about, they just say stuff. My brother said that exact same thing to me once. They just say stuff. Your problem is that you listen to it too closely, that you care too much.
So real.
Yeah.
You want to know something interesting? I was the one, as the oldest, who listened to them, and my siblings were like, they just say stuff. What are they gonna do? We're living our lives.
No,
I was like, what? Wait, what? You're bringing a boy home? Like, what? Like it was it's a thing,
yeah.
and I just I was the one. They instilled all of their values into me as much as possible on every side. So it was just one of those things where I always cared how they felt or what they would say.
Me too.
Even when I go home, I take my earrings out.
Wow.
Remember, my parents have seen me on TV. They have seen me do shows, everything. And when I see them, I will take my earrings out of respect.
Yeah.
So it's just a respect thing. And that's a big part of the culture. So people are always going to be more stricter on girls than boys. Maybe it should be, maybe it shouldn't be. The world is dangerous for everyone, but it does seem to be a little more dangerous for girls. I'm not advocating treating them differently, but I am saying I understand where it comes from.
Yes.
And at this point, though, however, she's not a little girl. She is 25 years old and getting a master's, and they still treat her the same, like, be home by 9.
And calling her while she's out.
Yeah, that happens. Listen, but that's a real thing. That happens to all of us.
I think my mom was a
Middle Eastern
mom.
But
because
where is your family from?
They're from North Carolina.
So that's what I'm saying about the South, is that Southern culture would be way more like the Middle Eastern culture in many regards and aspects.
Yeah.
So Dena's friend, by the way, she has there, and that's another thing we see again, how Muslims come in all different shapes. We see a Somali Muslim. Her friend is Somalian, or at least we assume she's Somalian from her look and her religion. And she was gorgeous, by the way. I loved her.
She was beautiful.
She was so gorgeous. Call me. Anyway, so call me. So then they're talking, they have this pact, and then we see she has this little crush on the little coffee boy, the little white boy at the
Kyle.
coffee. Exactly.
Who
Kyle.
was Plop from The Office. Did you watch The Office?
No.
So he was in the last 2 seasons of The Office. He played a character named Peter who was called Plop.
Plop.
Instead of Peter. So
interesting.
as I was writing my notes, I called him Plop.
Oh, that's actually I didn't know that. See, that's actually awesome to know. It's, the character. It would have been great if he was a coffee boy on that show too. He's a little older. He's been around. He gets they obviously flirt. There's a flirtation there. Dena likes him, and then upon hearing that her friend lost her virginity, Dena is feeling like she wants to lose hers. We see her trying to use the shower head, which by the way was a drippy shower head. Not even not even a good shower. That shower head's not going to get you there.
No.
But I had a little drippy shower head, and they try to use it.
I legit was like, is it the temperature that's doing it for her? I don't understand.
And then you hear the knock, and it's like, Dena, hurry up! I need to use the. It's like, wait. And then the mom, it was just so good.
Oh my gosh.
So strong. So she's about to have sex with Kyle. Like she goes out, but before there, she had the dream.
The dream.
Now the dream. We need to talk about the dream.
The dream. Like thoroughly upset me.
Oh, upset you?
Oh my god, I was freaking
dying.
out. I was freaking out.
Dying.
Oh my gosh, were you?
Oh my god, you have no idea.
It was funny, but it was just
I had to pause it. I had to
traumatizing.
pause it.
Oh my god.
Because at first I thought when mom came in, it was very realistic. Because I was even when they were getting it on in the room, I was like, why would you bring him home?
Right.
That's a no-no.
Right.
But then when mom came, I was like, and then later I was like, oh, it's a dream.
Yeah.
And but I had to pause it. Because I was like, it's the worst. It's the worst thing that could happen to me.
But did it feel like, were you laughing or were you just like cringing?
Cringing.
I was cringing too.
Dying.
I was totally freaking out. Yeah.
Because if this happened, I would just die. I would die. Exactly. I would just die. I would just want to go into a shell. Oh my gosh, it was so good.
It was a lot, yeah.
And then, of course, every family member comes in.
And Uncle Nassim, everybody's there, yeah.
It's your fault.
Ramy comes in like, what?
Yeah. So
oh
good.
Gosh.
Dream, but dreams as dreams do go to reality. And Dena goes over to Kyle's and they're about to get it on. And then Kyle.
Wait. Go ahead.
No, please.
Because I was going to say,
I need to hear this.
We skipped her leaving the house to go to Kyle's.
She did.
Because that conversation.
Yeah, that was real. She took Ramy's advice a little too much.
And she came for Uncle Nassim.
She went after Uncle Nassim.
That was super edgy.
Yeah. Are you attracted to me or?
Work out your feelings.
Yeah.
What?
And Uncle Nassim had nothing to say.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think, again, I mean, another thing that I related to in that was that everybody's got a pervy uncle, right? So, so I was like, is Uncle Nassim being a pervy uncle? Or is he just right, no one ever stands up to you. I used to have an uncle who would kiss me on the lips and slip his tongue into my mouth when he did it. And I would contrive ways to not have to kiss him hello and goodbye. I would be like, hey, so I wouldn't have to have that experience. Everybody has a pervy uncle. The whole idea that she called him out, I was like, I have some uncles to call. I loved that moment.
Such a strong moment.
Yeah.
I mean, we love watching Dena be the strong woman. Actually, it kind of messes with me when she's not, because she's such a strong, she doesn't need to be passive aggressively strong, and I understand it, and it's such a real character development, so it was so nice. So she goes over to Kyle's.
She gets to Kyle's.
And first of all, Kyle had a really nice apartment for coffee bean salary, bro.
Word.
Yo, it was such a nice, because remember, they still live in right outside New York.
Right. He's got a full kitchen.
Yeah, it was too nice. I was like, bruh, you better come from a rich family.
You're working at a coffee shop at a college.
Exactly.
And you're living like this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he cooks, he makes hummus from scratch. Not an easy task.
Wait, though.
Yeah.
From the get-go, from the moment he commented on her hair being straightened, I was like, I know who he is.
Yeah.
I knew exactly
We've seen it before.
Yeah.
We've seen it before. Actually, I feel that it happens a lot with black women.
Oh.
The white guy who's like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, yo, I voted for Obama. You're like, oh, okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, the whole fetishist thing was so...
Happens.
I get it as a black woman. I get it as a fat woman. It's so amazing the things that people will say based on their little what they think is hot, which is crazy.
I think, first of all, that was so funny.
That was funny.
It's just, you're like, I get it as a black woman, I get it as a fat woman, I get it as a woman. You were just going down I get it as whoa. It happens when the girls are like, oh, my friend will love you. really? Okay, that's nice. Why? She loves black guys. Like, that's the only qualification here.
Nothing else about you.
So
is
we
relevant,
see
yeah.
this with Kyle. We see Kyle makes the hummus from scratch. And then it started from there. And then he's like, speak Arabic to me.
No.
Yeah, speak Arabic to me. And we actually, this is our special segment. We learn a new word. Do you remember the new word? Let's say the new word.
Wait. I have it.
Yeah, say the new word. It's a phrase, actually. It's not just a word.
It is Ina behebik.
Ina behebik. Exactly.
behebik.
Which is I like you or I love you. Ina
Yes.
behebik.
Ina behebik.
Yeah, it's like I love you, I like you. And it's, remember we have like words like habibi, habibti. It's in that same realm. Enna is like me, like I. And then behebek, love
Behebek.
you.
I love
because
that.
of the post tense. So
Yeah.
it was the new word where we learned
But there
new
was,
word.
but that was our special segment on the new word. But there was none of that good feeling.
Listen, she was
Kyle.
like, and she was just trying to get it, and he was like, all right, keep it on. Keep your clothes on.
She's like, just shut up and
Yeah.
stop being an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, just, I love camels, so I just wanted to let you know. Hookah? Love hookah. Like, he's throwing out all.
I'm really into sand.
Yeah, I love sand. And then he gives the vanilla explanation. The vanilla explanation is like, I'm just white, and that's vanilla, that's plain. I want some flavor, and you're the flavor.
Right, yeah.
Like the checklist.
Like your spice on his nasty chicken.
Yeah.
It's not cute.
It's
not
not
cute.
cute.
The fact that she had to actually say, can we role play that I am a white woman?
Yeah, so strong.
Oh my gosh.
And then he's like, that's turned me off. Like, he basically was like, that's anti-erection. I need you to be.
I need you to be
Jasmine from Aladdin. I need that.
I need you to be this ethnic goddess that I have fantasized that
Exactly.
you are. Yeah. Oh no.
And it really happens.
I felt like she stayed a little too long for me, actually. I felt like she had an ambition, which was that she was trying to
She was going to lose her virginity.
Yeah, she was trying to stay in it for that. But legit, like from the word go on the hair straightening, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, to me, it was cute. I personally like curly hair. It was cute that he made hummus. I was like, oh, that's sweet. And then it all went south.
I hated the fact that he made hummus. It's like if I go on a date with somebody and they take me to Roscoe's like for like fried chicken. Like, yeah, you know what? You don't have to prove that you like my food, my people, the food of my people.
And that's
Crazy,
real.
yeah.
So that's episodes 5 and 6. In a nutshell, I mean, so strong. Each week we get more Rami.
Oh
I'm
my
just
gosh.
all about this. This is honestly one of the best shows on Hulu, if not the best show.
100%.
It's
yeah.
definitely the best millennial show, I would say.
And it's setting a new standard, I think.
100%.
I mean, it's absolutely sort of saying, you guys have been really cute with your whole girls and whatever, but like let's get into something real.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something. As a comedian and as a, Rami's a good friend of mine. There are times that as a comedian, I watch comedians do things that I would love to do. It happened with me with Gerard Carmichael one time.
Yeah.
And
Who's an
especially
executive producer on the show,
exactly,
yeah.
going with Gerard, and specifically happened to me one time with Whitney Cummings when she was on stage. She was so good that I wanted to quit comedy because I was like, wow, that's amazing what
Yeah,
she just did.
yeah.
And I was like, Whitney, oh my gosh. And now with Rami, this show is just, it's so motivational, but it's also like, man, this is like everything I wish I could do.
Absolutely.
Even the way Rami, the song hits, and it writes Rami in Arabic and in English, like it just hits like so perfectly. So
Absolutely, I agree.
Such a
As
great
a comedian
show.
myself, everything you just said, ditto.
I know
Yes.
how it feels. Let's get
Yeah.
into some predictions really quick.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Ooh, my predictions. I am looking forward to what happens between Rami and Sarah. I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. I think it would be really interesting if there are some consequences to Rami having his first day of Ramadan, sexcapades with whose name I can't remember. What was her name?
Selma.
With Selma. And I don't know what else is going to happen. I think I would love to see Rami end up with someone and maybe move toward marriage. I don't know.
I will say this. Okay, with Sarah, I think because it's set up that she was going to wait 30 days. I think she doesn't wait, and Ramy gets mad at her. And then Ramy had this and is like, wait, you're mad at me, and you did the same thing. It's a double standard. That's a talk, possibly. But I know a lot of people binge the show. I mean, it's so hard for us not to binge the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we should start binging the show and getting this, knocking it out. But I think that's going to be the play.
Okay, I'm here for it.
And I can't wait for more Uncle Nassim. But I don't even know. We will find out. We will find out. But
Can't
until
wait.
then, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on all the social medias at @NikkiBailey_ or at NikkiBaileyComedy.com.
I love that. And I am Tehran, literally, and I am Tehran all across the board. Find me at IAMTEHRAN, IG, Facebook, Twitter, tweet, all that. And of course, hosting a slew of other AfterBuzz after shows. We talk all the good things and all the shows that you love to talk about. And we are there until next time. I would like to bid you farewell. Masalama to all of you. Same Ramy time, same Ramy AfterBuzz channel. Next week. See you.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.